Hello everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I still remember the day Eli disappeared like it happened this morning. We were 17, me, Eli, and two of our buddies, camping out near the base of the San Francisco Peaks in northern Arizona. It was meant to be one last summer adventure before college took us in different directions. Marshmallows, ghost stories, cheap beer we stole from his dad's fridge. That first night, Eli wandered off into the woods to take a piss and never came back. We searched for hours, called out until our throats were raw. His name echoed through those trees like it was mocking us. By morning, we had the rangers involved. They brought dogs, helicopters, the whole nine. Not a trace. No footprints, no torn clothes, no signs of struggle. It was like the forest swallowed him whole. They searched for 2 weeks. Found nothing. We buried an empty casket that fall. His mom sobbed so hard at the funeral, it sounded like she was being torn apart. My uncle stood frozen, like if he blinked, the last image of Eli would vanish too. And eventually life moved on, slowly and not easily, but it did. And then, 2 weeks ago, just as I was finishing dinner and about to put on a movie, the doorbell rang. It was Eli. Same height, same jet black hair and crooked smile, same beat-up denim jacket he always wore. Only he looked off, a little paler, a little thinner, and there was this strange stiffness to him, like every joint in his body needed oiling. His eyes were sunken, darker than I remembered, like two marbles sunk into wet clay. I stared at him, blinking, thinking I was dreaming. "Hey, cousin," he said. His voice, Jesus. It was like someone speaking through wet paper, muffled and hollow. But it was him, or it looked like him. I hugged him. I shouldn't have. He was cold. Not just room temperature cold, freezer cold. His body didn't press against mine like it used to. He didn't hug back. It was like putting your arms around a mannequin. Still, I let him in. What else could I do? Everyone went nuts when I called. His mom cried all over again, this time out of joy. His dad cursed the Lord and thanked him in the same breath. The doctors ran tests. He told them he'd gotten lost, that he found a family of off-grid homesteaders who kept him alive. He wouldn't say more. Said it was too painful. The media ate it up, but then he refused interviews, refused cameras. Said he wanted peace. Only I knew better. That first night he stayed with me. I couldn't sleep. Around 2:30 a.m., I heard a scratch. Just faint, barely there. Like claws on drywall. I figured it was my dog, Bentley, but when I called for him, he was trembling under the bed, whining so hard I thought he might puke. I crept to the guest room. The door was cracked open, just enough for me to peek. Eli was crouched by the window, knees to his chest like a gargoyle, his head tilted upward, whispering something that didn't sound like English. It wasn't Spanish or Navajo either. I couldn't place it. The cadence was wrong, like static mixed with low growls. And his face, God, his face looked like it was melting. Not literally, but it had stretched, his jawline longer, the nose crooked in a way I didn't recognize. Like someone trying to remember what Eli looked like and almost getting it right. I backed away. Didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I confronted him in the kitchen. "What happened to you, Eli?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He looked up from his cereal. That smile again, except this time, it reached too far up his cheeks. And when he spoke, he didn't even blink. "You buried me too soon, cousin." My stomach dropped. I wanted to laugh it off, pretend it was a joke. But then he grinned, real wide. And that's when I saw his teeth. They weren't his. They weren't human. Jagged, sharp, like shards of broken porcelain jammed into black gums. I stepped back. He didn't move, just kept staring, chewing cereal like it was nothing. That afternoon, I packed a bag and went to stay at a motel down the street. I told him I'd work out of town. He didn't argue, just watched me go from the window. When I came back the next day with 2 cops and a friend from the tribal office, the house was empty. No sign of Eli. No, nothing. Except, in the guest room, where he'd been sleeping, we found a pile of fur, matted and reeking like wet dog. Clumps of long fingernails, blood-stained clothes, and a handprint on the mirror made of some kind of black grease. Or maybe it was ash. I don't know. I haven't told anyone the truth. Not his parents. Not my own folks. But here it is. Whatever came back wasn't Eli. It wore him. It studied him. Copied him just enough to slip into our lives unnoticed. And I let it in. Every night now, I dream of that thing crouching by the window, whispering its strange language to the dark. And sometimes, when I'm walking through the woods near our old camping spot, I swear I hear my name being called from just beyond the trees. It sounds like Eli, but it's not. And I never, ever answer. Story 2. I was born on the Navajo reservation. And if there's one thing we're taught from the time we can talk, it's to respect what lives in the shadows. The old stories aren't bedtime tales. They're warnings. Rules. Rule 1. Don't whistle at night. Rule 2. Don't speak their names. Rule 3. Don't ever, under any circumstance, look a coyote in the eyes. I broke all 3. It was early October when it happened. The kind of cold where the air bites your skin, but the ground hasn't quite given up the last warmth of summer. I was driving back from my cousin Lonnie's place after helping her move some old furniture. She lived about an hour from my trailer, tucked near the Red Rock Hills. The road back was long, cracked, and empty, just desert, scrub, and moonlight. It was around midnight. My headlights picked up movement up ahead, something low and furry crossing the road. I slowed down, expecting it to run, but it didn't. It stood upright. At first, I thought maybe it was just the angle, or maybe it jumped. But no, this thing stood on 2 legs like a man, its back arched weirdly, its arms dangling too far down, fingers twitching. A coyote. Only not. I stopped the car. My engine hummed. The thing just stared at me, unblinking. Then it smiled. Not a snarl. Not a twitch. A slow, stretched smile that bared all its teeth like someone trying to imitate human emotion. It cocked its head, and I, like an idiot, laughed. Nervously. Creepy-ass dog. I muttered, and without thinking I whistled. Just a quick little tune, the kind you'd use to call a puppy. The thing twitched. Its mouth opened, but no sound came out. Then it dropped to all 4s and bolted into the brush on the side of the road, gone before I could blink. The next few minutes driving home were the quietest of my life. I didn't even turn on the radio. My fingers shook on the wheel. I told myself it was just a trick of the light, just a sick, injured animal. But I knew better. That night, as I lay in bed, I heard scratching, not from the front door or the back window, every window. like nails, long and slow, dragging across the glass. I sat up, heart pounding. My dog, Rocco, a mutt with the bark of a lion, was growling low in his throat, ears flat, tail tucked. Then came a knock. Not on the door, on the wall. 3 knocks. Pause. 3 more. Pause. I stayed in bed, blankets pulled up to my chin like a scared child. I didn't move until sunlight leaked through the curtains. My grandmother came over the next day. She's old school Navajo, doesn't speak much English, just wisdom and warning. I told her what I saw, and the color drained from her face. "You called it," she said, lighting her smudged stick. "You whistled. You looked it in the eye. You spoke. It heard you. That was 3 nights ago. Tonight it came back. I was brushing my teeth when I felt it. That heavy silence. Not the normal quiet of late night hours, but an emptiness. The way a room feels just before something terrible happens." I walked into the living room. Rocco was barking like mad, fur bristling, tail straight. He was facing the sliding glass door. I followed his gaze, and there it was. It stood outside, bathed in the pale light of the moon. The same coyote, but twisted now like time and space had stretched out too far. Its arms were longer, dragging by its sides. Its knees bent backwards like a deer. The skin on its chest was patchy, fur matted with something dark, and underneath, I swear to God, I saw pieces of what looked like stitched human skin. Its face had no expression, but its eyes, amber, burning, never blinked. Then it opened its mouth, and my voice came out. "Let me in, Kra." Not a growl, not a bark, not even a mimicry. It was perfect, like someone had recorded me and was playing it back. Only it was coming from its throat. "Let me in." I didn't move. I couldn't. My legs wouldn't work. Then Rocco lunged at the glass and growled louder than I've ever heard. The thing twitched. Then it vanished, just gone. No footprints. No shadow running away. Just empty desert under the moon. I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. I moved 3 towns over. Different county. Different people. Changed my number. New locks. Motion lights. Reinforced doors. Didn't matter. Because last night, under the full moon, I heard the knock again. 3 taps. Pause. 3 more. Then the whisper. "Let me in, Kra." I think it's not just following me. I think I belong to it now. And I don't know what happens when I finally say yes. Story 3. We weren't supposed to be there that winter. That's what I keep thinking. We had finished most of the work by late November, hauling spruce and fir, cutting and grinding until the forest bled sap. But the company offered a bonus to anyone willing to stay and finish clearing the last section before the deep freeze came. Me and 4 others took the deal. The rest? They went home to their families for Christmas. Smart bastards. The camp was an hour by snowmobile from the nearest road. Once the weather turned and the snow came, there was no coming or going until spring. We had a prefab bunkhouse, a backup generator, plenty of fuel and food. Everything we needed to ride it out for a few weeks. Or so we thought. First 2 weeks went by quiet. Nothing but the sound of axes, chainsaws, the occasional crack of trees falling like slow, groaning giants. We didn't see another soul, not even animals. No birds, no deer, just miles of cold trees standing like silent witnesses. It was Nate who first said something felt wrong. Said he was hearing whispers at night, just outside the bunkhouse. Thought he saw someone standing by the trillion once. So the snow wasn't falling right. It twisted in circles sometimes, as if being stirred by something huge above the trees. We laughed, teased him for going stir crazy. Cabin fever, we said. It happens. Then the generator died. It was a Saturday night, just past midnight. I remember because I was about to get into bed, and the lights snapped out so suddenly it felt like the dark had been waiting for the moment. No power, no heat. The bunkhouse dropped from warm to freezing in seconds, like the night had teeth. Nate was already dressed. He grabbed his flashlight and told me to go with him to check the generator. We stepped out into a cold so sharp it sliced at your bones. The snow had fallen again, thick, silent, heavy. Everything was dead still. That's when I saw them. Tracks, not boot prints. Bare feet. I know what bare feet in snow look like. I've seen animals and drunk men do stupid things in winter. But these weren't right. They were human, but not. Toes too long, heels sunken deep, and claws, clear drag marks from them curling into the powder. Whatever made them had weight, had hunger. Jesus, I whispered. Who the hell's out here barefoot? Nate didn't answer. He was staring down the trail the prints made, leading away from camp toward the thickest part of the woods. The place we hadn't touched. The place even the logging map said to leave alone. But something pulled me. I can't explain it. I should have turned back. Should have gone back to the bunkhouse, locked the door, and waited for daylight. But I followed the prints. They snaked deep into the forest, winding through narrow gaps where no machines could go. I don't remember how far I walked. Time felt strange out there. Minutes turned into hours. The flashlight began to dim, flickering with each step. Then the silence hit me. I mean real silence. No wind, no crunch of snow beneath my boots. Just absolute stillness, as if the whole world was holding its breath. That's when I heard the voice. Son, come here. I'm cold. It was my dad's voice. My dad died in a car crash when I was 17. Hit a moose at 60 miles per hour. Body was unrecognizable. Closed casket. But that voice, that was him. Down to the rasp in his throat. The way he said cold, like he could barely feel his mouth. Dad, I whispered. Come here, boy. I need your warmth. I turned toward the voice, and that's when I saw it. It stepped from behind a tree, tall as the pines, antlers branching out like twisted black bone, scraping bark and snow. Its arms were too long, fingers trailing like icicles. The skin clung to its frame like wet paper, thin, gray, stretched over bones that looked sharp enough to cut through. And its eyes, God help me, its eyes weren't glowing like you'd think. They were dull, sunken, starving. The flashlight gave out. Total darkness. But I could feel it, right behind me. Then I heard it, right in my ear. Not from its mouth, which never moved. It whispered straight into my skull. I'm inside now. I don't remember getting back. I woke up outside the bunkhouse at dawn, half buried in snow, lips blue, hands white and stiff. Nate found me. He said I'd been gone all night. Said he never followed me. Said the others wanted to leave the moment they heard the whispering, but the storm trapped them. After that, things weren't the same. I couldn't get warm. Not with fire. Not with blankets. I'd sit inches from the stove and still shake like I was naked in a blizzard. Worse, I was hungry. Always. I'd eat 5 times what I used to and never feel full. My belly would cramp, and I'd keep eating. Raw meat started to smell sweet. I started craving it. Nate caught me one night chewing a strip of deer hide we'd used as insulation. I didn't even realize I was doing it. The others left after that, took the snowmobiles and hiked out, left me behind, said I needed help, said I'd changed. I don't blame them, because sometimes I hear it again. At night, when everything's still, I hear my father's voice. And sometimes it's not just his. Sometimes I hear Nate, or my mother, or old voices I forgot I remembered. They all say the same thing. Come here. I'm cold. I think I brought something back with me that night. No, that's not right. I think something brought me back. Wore me like a coat. Put me on like skin. It's waiting. It's patient. But I feel it in me. Stretching. Growing hungry. One day, when it's strong enough, it'll wear me fully. And someone else will follow the prints. Because winter's coming again. And the forest is hungry. Story 4. I don't know what made me ignore the warnings. Maybe it was pride. Maybe just the arrogance that comes with an academic title and a stack of books thicker than common sense. I was working on my master's thesis, a deep dive into North American indigenous folklore. My subject, the Wendigo. I wanted raw stories, unfiltered by documentaries or textbook rewordings. I craved truth, the kind buried in bone-deep winter and whispered around old fires. That craving led me to a half-rotted cabin in the Quebec wilderness, 2 hours from the nearest town and even further from anything resembling help. I rented the place through a local hunter named Sylvain, who handed me the keys with shaking hands and a face that looked like it had seen too many winters. Before he left, he gave me just one piece of advice. If the forest goes quiet, he said, not quiet like snow falling, dead quiet, no wind, no birds, no crack of trees, leave. Right then, no matter the time, no matter the weather. I'd heard similar warnings before. Campfire superstitions, I'd assumed. But Sylvain didn't look like a man who told stories for fun. He looked like a man who'd survived something, but never got away from it. I smiled, nodded, and unpacked my books. The cabin had no power and no reception, but I was prepared for that. I had a crank-powered flashlight, 2 weeks of food, and a small propane stove. Nights were cold, but I kept a fire going. I brought a notebook, pens, and a small digital recorder to capture thoughts or sounds. Day 1 was fine. I made tea, read old texts, and wrote notes by the fire. Day 2, I found the remains of a small animal, a rabbit, I think, near the trailing. It had been torn open, bones sucked clean, but no footprints around it. I assumed a bird of prey. But day 3, that was when everything changed. It was just before dusk when I realized something was off. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but the stillness settled like a weight on my shoulders. There was no wind brushing the trees, no crows calling, no creak of frozen bark. The fire in the hearth no longer popped or cracked. The snow outside, once crisp and shimmering, looked dull, gray like old paper. My ears rang from the absence of everything. I stepped outside, boots crunching in snow. But after a few paces, even that sound vanished. I stopped, held my breath. Nothing, not just silence, an absence, like the world had been wiped clean. Then, from somewhere behind me, I heard it. Crunch. Snow being compressed, heavy, purposeful. I turned slowly, half expecting to see a moose or maybe a bear that had woken too early from hibernation. But there was nothing, just empty woods and endless snow. I blinked, and then it was there, a towering shape, thin as shadow, tall as the trees. Its limbs were long and bent wrong, like someone had taken human bones and twisted them until they broke. Its skin clung to the bone like wet paper, yellowish, frostbitten, and the face, God, the face was hollowed out, stretched tight around a skull that looked like it belonged to a deer or maybe something even older. Long antlers twisted upward like dead branches, covered in frost and strips of what looked like flesh. It didn't walk. It glided. No footsteps, no drag marks, just a thing that moved through snow without disturbing it, except for the sound of crunching beneath my feet and the feeling that something ancient had noticed me. The air turned sour. You know that smell when something's been dead too long. Rot mixed with wet fur. That filled my nose. I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't move. My body wouldn't obey me. I tried to turn and run, but my boots felt glued to the ground. The snow held me. I swear to you, it pulled me. Like 100 hands beneath the surface were gripping my ankles. The creature leaned forward, inches from my face. Its mouth opened wider than it should have. I heard the cracking of bone. Steam rolled from its jaws, curling into my nostrils like it wanted to crawl inside me. Then it whispered, "You brought hunger here." Its voice wasn't loud. It was a breath, a hiss, but it was inside my head, like it had bypassed my ears completely. I don't remember running. I don't remember how I got back into the cabin. All I know is I woke up by the fire, shivering so hard my teeth had cracked. The fire was roaring again, even though I don't remember lighting it. My recorder was beside me, blinking red. I played it back. At first, it was just silence, not even background noise. But then a voice, my name, whispered once, then again, and again, over and over, dozens of times. Sometimes slow, sometimes fast. Sometimes it was my own voice. Other times it was my mother's, my professor's, Sylvain's, but always my name. I didn't pack. I didn't even put my boots on. I ran, barefoot, through snow that burned my skin raw. It was dawn before I saw the town again. Sylvain saw me first. I collapsed at his feet. I was babbling about the creature, the silence, the voice. He didn't say a word, just helped me into his truck. As we drove away, he finally spoke. "You stayed through the silence." I nodded. "Then it'll follow you. For a while. It always does. It's been 4 months. I haven't slept a full night since. Sometimes I hear it outside my window, even though I live in the city now. Sometimes I feel the cold in my bones, like the snow's reaching through the concrete. But the worst part is the silence. I used to love peace and quiet. Now, when everything goes still, I panic, because I know what lives in that silence, and I know it remembers me.